back to Serah's computer sessions. Hope all of you are safe and sound at home. Today I will be dealing with some of the key elements of a program. Let's move on to the video and see what I have for you. Okay, let's move on to key elements of a program. I've selected a subset of key elements that frequently come when we write a program. Doesn't mean that these are the only key elements that come inside a program. The other key elements I'll be dealing with the other key elements as and when they arise when we do program examples. Okay, so let's move on to the key elements of a program. So they are data, variable, keyword, data types, statement, declaration, definition, functions or subroutines, and header file. Okay, now these are the basic elements that you have to use when you write the program. Okay, we have to actually understand clearly what all these things are before moving on to the program structure. Okay, at least the definition should be learned and before we see the structure of a program. So today in this video I will be dealing with the first three: data, variables, and keyword. So let's move on to data. In my prior videos where I had taught algorithms and its examples, I had mentioned what a data is. What is a data? It can be defined as a value or a set of values that is used within a program. See, we know what a program is, right? We write a sequence set of instructions and we give that set of instructions to the computer so that the computer can find a solution for the problem that we have. It cannot just find a solution on its own. We have to give the required information that should be taken by the computer as input and processed so that it can give us back the required result or the expected result. Okay, so something has to be given, right? And that something is actually the data. It can be one single value or can be multiple values depending upon the requirement of the problem. Okay, so this data can be of different types. Basically, they can be called as either a numeric data or an alphabetical or character data or a logical data. See, what do you mean by numeric data? It might comprise of digits. Like we had seen an example of adding two numbers. So their numbers are necessary to be given as input, right? So they are numeric data. But alphabetic or character data, what do they signify? From the name itself, we know that it might comprise of characters that will be inputted according to the requirement of the problem. Next is the logical data. What do you mean by logical data? Say in the examples of algorithms, we had seen a feature known as repetition, right? So there we had to check conditions, and depending upon the result of the condition, we had to select a series set of actions that should be performed. So these conditions, the result of these conditions can be actually called as logical data. Okay, so we'll see the examples and we'll understand it better then. So numerical data, here I have given 5 to 6 examples. Let's see. 248 minus 253, 58.22 minus 4789.56. From this example, what did you understand? We can give both positive and negative numbers as input, right? Again, did you understand something? Did you see something peculiar in this example? Okay, the first three numbers are just integer numbers, but the last two numbers have floating point, like decimal point inside them with them. So see, we can now you can see that the numerical data has inner categories like integer data, floating point, decimal data, stuffs like that. Okay. Now the next example is for alphabetical or character data. See the examples. A, R, a phrase. This is good, a phrase. Oh, I've written something, number, digit numbers inside the example. Did I make a mistake? No, it's not a mistake. See, anything that is coming or written inside inverted commas is considered as character data. Whatever you write within inverted commas, quotation marks, it's not commas, right? In quotation marks, single quotation marks, it will be considered as character data. Okay, so hope you understood that. Now logical data, an example of logical data is true or false. If a condition is true, what we do? If a condition is false, what we do? So that the result of the condition is also a data. That data is not what we input. That data is actually determined by the compiler, the computer itself. Okay, according to the condition. So I hope you understood what data is. Now next we'll move on to variable. Even when I was teaching algorithm, I had mentioned that a variable is used to store data. We use variable so that data can be assigned onto a variable. So we'll see the definition of variable. Variable is a container that holds the data so that they can be used in various computations in a program. It's just a container that can hold the data. So why this container is necessary? See, we know that whatever we enter, even the program as well as the data, should be stored in memory so that the program can be executed. Okay, I will be taking how the data and variables are connected with the memory, and how they are taken, how they are processed. Every single step will be dealt with in further future videos. But for a briefing, I should say, see, the data should be stored in memory locations so that the compiler can access those data, or the computer operating system can access those data during program execution. Then only we can get our desired result. So these variables are used to as a name. Variables are used as names to the memory locations where the data is stored. Why we use names for memory locations instead of addresses? I'll give you a simple example. Will you be able to remember the contact numbers of maybe 10 people? It's difficult, right? So we always have the contact name associated with the phone number in our contact lists in phone. Why is it? Because it is easy to remember the contact name rather than remembering the contact phone number. So similarly, for us, for programmers, it is really difficult to remember the addresses where in which all these data is going and getting stored. So instead of remembering the addresses, it's easy to remember the variable names. So that is why the whole concept of variable has been introduced in programming. So it's a name given to the location in memory where the data is stored. Okay, and it should be mentioned or declared at the start of the program. We will be dealing with this when we study the structure of the program. Whatever variables you use in a program, suppose you will be using only one variable, or else you might be using more than 5 variables. Whatever variables you are going to use in a program, you have to specify the variables at the start of the program. Then only the compiler can understand the remaining part of the program where these variables are manipulated and modified so as to get the desired result. Okay, so variables should be mentioned at the start of the program, and this process of mentioning is actually known as declaration. We will be dealing with variable declarations in detail in future videos. Okay, now another point that should be noted is that the variables are case sensitive. We will be seeing examples in the next slide. You will understand it better then. So let's move on to the attributes of a variable. What do you mean by attributes? See, when we use variables, there are 3 factors associated with the variables. Okay, 3 factors should be clearly specified to the compiler so that the compiler can use these variables in the appropriate manner. What are they? The first thing is the name. The variable should have a name, obviously. The second thing is the value. Why is the variable being used? To store the data. So, data should be specified with the variable. Okay. Now, there also there are more detailing into how and when the data should be specified, and that will be dealt with in the further videos. Okay, now next is the data type. Whether the data that we are assigning to the variable is a numerical data or a character data or the logical data, we have to specify that also. Okay, even the data type will be dealt with in the next video. So just understand that a variable's attributes comprises of three factors, and they are the name, the value, and the data type. Okay, now next we'll move on to the examples. To store a number, what all variables you can use variables according to your choice, but this is just to make you understand the common usages that comes along when we write a program. Okay, to store a number, you can use just n, you can use capital N, both are different. Okay, you can use num, you can use capital NUM, you can use number as such, NUMBER. Okay, now in this example, you can see that I've used digits, I've used underscore. Okay, to store an output, what can be the choices of variable names that can be used? Let's see. Sum to store sum, factorial to store factorial. You can use fact, you can use f, you can use average to store average, you can use tot marks to store the total marks of students, if actually the program demands that. It depends upon the program, you know. All the variable names should have some meaning that can be relatable to the problem that is in front of you. It's always better to give variables names relating to the problem. Okay, see, in total marks, this example, I've written the M in uppercase, capital letter. So marks is the second word, and tot is the first word. Tot is the short of total. Okay, so see here, the first letter of the first word is not uppercase. Only the second word's first letter is uppercase. These type of naming is actually known as camel casing. Okay, I purely suggest you to follow the camel casing method because it is really professional and it is easy also. And the next example, you can see total and an underscore before starting T, before the total word, right? So underscore also can be used in a variable name. Now to store a character, you can use ch. Ch is the common usage when we have to store a character, or you can use any single character like x, y, or something like that. But always remember that character values should be enclosed within single inverted commas. Okay. Now next we'll see on the rules, basic rules when we create names for variables. The characters that can be used when creating variable names are capital A to Z, small letter A to Z, or lowercase a to Z, digits from 0 to 9, and underscore. Please note that you cannot use space. White space is actually a special character when we consider with regard to computer and computer programming. But see, white spaces cannot be used inside a variable name. Please note that I've not added that point in here in this slide, but please note, remember always, you cannot use white spaces when you write, or other special characters when you create variable names. Now the first character must not be a digit. You cannot choose a digit as the first character of your variable name. Okay, but you can use digits in your variable name within the name, not as the first character, first letter. Now the length of the variable name depends upon the compiler. Yes, like, you know, depends upon, like, there are compilers that support 31 characters in one variable name. There are compilers that support 40 characters in one variable name. Now there are compilers who truncate the length of the name to a fixed length. Whatever name we give, like if the name is greater than x number of bits, it will truncate it and make it x number of sorry, not bits, x number of characters. Okay, so I hope you understood that point. Now the next thing is, no two variables should have the same name. In one program there should not be multiple variables with the same name. It cannot be executed by the compiler. Okay. Now the next thing is keywords cannot be used as variable names. So what is keywords? Let's see what keywords are. We'll move on to keywords. Keywords are those words that is already defined in C vocabulary. See, we know that you people know about dictionaries, right? Like dictionaries have words and those words and the meaning associated with that word. So similarly, for C, every programming languages, there will be libraries, vocabulary, where certain words will be selected and given a fixed meaning. So if you select some of those words as variable names when you create variables, you will get an error by the compiler. You're not supposed to use keywords as variable names. It cannot be used as variable names. And there are a total of 32 words in C vocabulary. And it is always written in lowercase letters. Here in this table, the example struct is a typing mistake. I've written capital S. I'm sorry. But then please remember that all the keywords are written in lowercase letters, as well as there are a total of 32 words in C vocabulary. Okay. Now see, during its course of development and modifications, there have been certain keywords that have been added into the C vocabulary. I have not mentioned those keywords here, but please remember that basic of 32 words, like basically there are 32 words that is predefined in C vocabulary, and those words cannot be used as variable names. Okay, today in this video, we have seen what data is, what variables are, and what keywords are. Hello, so today we have learned data, variables, and keywords from the key elements of a program. In the next session, I will be teaching data types in detail. Please like, share, and subscribe my channel. I hope to see your comments so that I can improve my teaching skills as well as my presentation. Also, if any one of you have doubts, please feel free to drop in your comments, or else you can mail me. Hope to see you soon. Thank you all for watching. God bless you.